what circular genomics is all about. So companies like yours are often built on a unique vision or personal passion. So can you please share the vision behind circular genomics and what inspired its founding from the start?
Yeah, absolutely. So we had three founders, one of whom is still with the company, Dr. Nicholas Melius. He is
Mhm.
an MD, PhD. He has been in the circular RNA and RNA research space for a long time. Personal family history for him, he was impacted by a family member with some mental health and neurological conditions. And as a consequence of that, he became very interested in what is it that is lacking in neurology and mental health. And specifically, it's been a lack of robust, reliable, specific biomarkers that can help us understand disease processes, can help us diagnose, can help us see what's going to happen with these diseases. And that really got him into, with the mental health neurology interest, into the discovery of the role of circular RNA in these set of diseases and symptomologies. So then it sort of transitions into circular RNA itself. Nico, Nicholas Melius. I call him Nico.
Mm.
Nico is one of the world leaders in circular RNA research, and
Yeah.
obviously the company, our passion is really to leverage these unique esoteric biomarkers that we've known about for quite some time, circular RNA, and I'll get more into that in a
Mm.
second,
Yeah.
to leverage them in mental health and neurology. The first application is in depression, major depressive disorder, MDD, where there is a public health emergency, on where the tools that are available to in a precision medicine sense. So which drug is going to help a patient?
Yeah.
We're in a trial and error approach. And Nico and myself have this vision that if you think about oncology and you think about cardiology, you think about other areas of medicine, how
Mm.
focused we have become on delivering precision medicine, so the right drug to the right patient at the right time in the right way. We just don't have that in mental health and neurology. So the passion for the company really is that mental health, neurological issues really rob people of their vitality, their dynamism from being fully manifest in life.
Mm.
And even if those individuals have a great exercise regime and nutrition and sleep, this disease still robs them of that sense of vitality.
Yeah.
And being able to have a test like this is a way of really helping to get these patients who are struggling with MDD back into a better place so they can have more of a full life and vitality. And the second program for us is in Alzheimer's. I lost my own father to Alzheimer's about 3 weeks ago. He
Yeah.
was 88, was a slow decline. Again, Alzheimer's robs an individual of their sense of self. It's a devastating disease, and with circular RNA, we've been able to uncover a 34 circular RNA signature, which is highly predictive, very far in advance of which patients will develop Alzheimer's.
Mm.
So that's sort of it's not just the technology, as interesting as that is, circular RNA.
Yeah.
It's the passion for really for a love of humanity and helping humanity be the best it can be fully manifest and overcome these difficulties.
Yes, lovely. So yeah, you mentioned about the company's founding history. So I understand that leading a biotech company requires balancing between technical, operational, as well as strategic roles. So with so many things to juggle, and despite the fact that you also have a very strong team to support you, advisors who are on the board to provide strategic advices, but in general, how do you balance the strategic decision making with the day-to-day operation?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. And I think that is a struggle for every CEO in largely every company, right? It is that balance between you have the long-term strategic vision, and then you have the practicalities of the day-by-day movement towards that goal. So I think the thing that I like to do is I run the team in a very cross-functional manner. So we're
Mm,
not a particularly hierarchical structure. Um, I'm very much focused on the vision and the strategy for the company is communicated often and
mm,
clearly. And we sometimes get into discussions about, well, what does that mean for 2024 and what does that mean for 2025? So I think it's that breaking down of the vision and the strategy
yeah.
into, well, let's break it down into bite-sized pieces for the team so they can understand that how does what I am doing right now relate to the strategy. The second thing I would say is we run very cross-functionally.
Mm,
So there's this constant crosstalk across departments, all departments, relating our day-to-day operations to our vision. And I have sort of a rule that if you can't see operationally, whether you're in finance or regulatory, if you can't see how the thing that you are doing today has a direct line of sight to our strategic vision, it is perfectly reasonable to say, maybe it's not a priority. It might be, but maybe it's not. And then we have a very quick discussion and we can sort of trace the path. 9 times out of 10, I can convey to the team, no, you see how this piece links to this piece, links to this, and those three pieces link to our strategy directly. The other thing that I do, Tan, is I break down the sort of goals for the company by
mm,
year. So we have a set of
yeah.
goals, milestones to deliver. We set those early in the year in January, and
Right.
then we break those out through objectives and key results. So
Mm,
it really is pretty clear, pretty self-evident. Here's the long-term vision, here's our milestone, and here are all the activities that relate to that milestone. Maybe one last piece. I'm also a
mm,
big believer in a startup environment,
yes.
devolving decision making down to the lowest possible level.
Mm,
So the person
yeah.
who is closest to the problem or the situation, the opportunity, really
Mm.
is best situated to resolve it or drive it.
Yes, so it's not like a top-down hierarchy, OKRs or plans, right? But it's more like bottom-up from the teams themselves. What they see are more realistic and stemming from, driving towards the company's goals in general. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
it's
that's very helpful.
it's one team, one
Mm,
prize, one fight. So we are all in
mm,
that we're all in that activity together.
yes, definitely. Yeah. So yeah, let's dive deeper into the company. I'd love to understand more about the unique selling points of circular genomics because as I know, as far as I understand, RNA field is advancing rapidly with so many players and companies working on cutting edge technologies and RNA-based therapies and diagnostics. So, in a crowded and competitive market like that, what kind of sets the company apart from its competitors? What are some of the secret sauces or technology that you are proud of about the company?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it is true that the RNA market sector as a whole is advancing very rapidly. So mRNA-based therapeutics would be really the place that is receiving the vast majority of VC investment
Yes.
inflow, particularly
Mm,
given recent example with the COVID vaccine.
right.
But broadly, there's a lot of interest in, as we've uncovered more about the role of RNAs, so microRNA, circular RNA, there's this
Mm,
heightened interest and awareness about what a deeper understanding of RNA technologies can do for us in biology and therapy and diagnostics. For us as a company, we are a little bit unusual. So
mm,
we are a circular RNA based company. So circular RNA
yes.
is our focus.
Mm,
Circular RNA, there are a number of companies who are making synthetic circular RNA
right.
because if you make synthetic circular RNA, it leverages the exact same set of attributes, so stability, robustness, ability to transfer into the body,
Mm,
that we leverage diagnostically. So there's a lot of interest in circular RNA based therapeutics, synthetic molecules. For us, there's a couple of elements of secret sauce. Number one, we need to be experts at circular RNA.
mm,
And that is very much the case, right? We have an SAB who have great expertise in this space. We have a founder who is really one of the world leading experts, circular RNA. Some of our SAB members also circular RNA and specific neurological diseases. The second thing you need is you need to know how to identify specifically which circular RNA, because there's about 100,000 circular RNAs that we know about,
mm,
10,000 of which we believe cross the blood-brain barrier, which is important for us to get into the blood to test it. So of those circular RNAs, we need to know which ones are specifically associated with what particular disease and in what way.
mm,
And to do that, you need access to the world's best, most highly characterized clinical samples. So if you have really clean clinical samples, you have the best possibility of extracting the right
mm,
signature from that sample to identify the circular RNA. Then we're able to transfer that particular circular RNA into a very simple blood test.
mm,
Um, so
yeah.
being able to extract that circular RNA in the blood, there is some trade secrets and
Mm,
know-how surrounding that aspect.
right.
But the real difficulty is teasing out the signature, teasing out which particular circular RNA is most implicated, most involved in, for example, being able to predict response to an antidepressant. And once you've done that really hard work, you then want the test to not be complicated, expensive, and only able to be performed in the world's most sophisticated lab. You
Right.
want that test to be able to be performed in any lab
Mm,
that has the right equipment, very broadly and relatively inexpensively, which is exactly what we have.
got it.
Does that
Yes.
did I address the question there? Yeah.
Yes, yes, definitely. I understand. It's more about the capabilities, the secret to the technologies that you own, the know-hows, etc., to do that test. But I guess that in every industry, we all have its own challenges, right? And in RNA, as you mentioned briefly, it's about the high RNA R&D cost. It's about competition. It could be about regulatory barriers. So, in your opinion, what are some of the biggest challenges that you face in RNA biotech industry today? And how is the company addressing them?
Yeah, so I wouldn't say that our challenges relate so much to um, RNA technology per se.
Mm.
We operate within the mental health and neurology space.
Yes.
And I
Okay.
and I think my biggest challenge is even not so much some competitive DNA-based technology.
Mm.
Let me give you the example in depression. There are some DNA, not RNA, DNA-based
Yeah.
tests which are able to tell, will my body metabolize these antidepressants or these drugs? So there's
Mm.
value to that. There's value to knowing that. But what you really want to know is not a static DNA biomarker for my body's metabolism. You really want to know a dynamic brain biomarker for how your brain will respond to the drug, because that is
Mm.
the target, the locus of where the drug is intended to act.
Yeah.
So it's not so much in the specifics of the technology.
Mm.
We are overcoming an entrenched standard of care. And that standard of care is that a patient goes to their physician, they have a
Right.
diagnosis of depression, and the very next thing that happens is they receive a drug. And
Mm.
that drug doesn't work in 60% of cases, 60% of cases.
Yeah.
And then that patient will come back to the clinician with side effects and not no improvement and try the next drug and the next drug and the next drug.
Mm.
So we are overcoming that entrenched standard of care, and we are saying that isn't a great way to do therapy for a depressed patient. The better way is that patient going to respond to SSRI? You can know that in 5 days. If they do, we can get them onto an SSRI on the right drug. If not, you can immediately reflex to another class of drug. So
Mm.
immediately we are disrupting with our innovations the
Yeah.
standard of care. But
Right.
the medical community is slow to change. And so
Yeah.
that's what we're overcoming that entrenched, slow standard of care.
Mm. Got it. So so as I understand, you're disrupting the standard of care and making the care more accessible to more patients, right? And yeah, more accessible in terms of the cost, the availability, etc. Am I understanding it correctly?
Yes, so that standard of
Mm.
care that I described, that really is the market segment we are going after, and we're
Yeah.
saying to patients and clinicians, the better way to do this is that
Mm.
you receive the diagnosis of depression, you take a blood sample, you have our test, and you will know in 5 days which
Mm.
is the right drug that I should be on. Um,
Mm.
yeah, but again, remember that, of course, this is the standard of care that's been in place for quite some time.
Yeah.
So we have to get our name out there, we have to get our
Yeah.
test out there, we have to create
Mm.
awareness and some noise.
Mm. Yes. Market education. I understand. Yeah. Yeah, but we'd love to understand more on the concrete successes, because it can help us to really understand the real world impact of the work. So is there any particular milestones or achievements from the last 2 years or so that you feel particularly proud of in the company?
Yeah, I think, really the first one is that in a market that has seen
Mm.
so little innovation, so this mental health market,
Yeah.
particularly depression, there has been so little actual innovation. So
Mm.
SSRIs have been with us for a long time, 30 years, 25 years. Those drugs are out there, been out there for a long time. They're sort of
Yeah.
they're sort of part of the known environment out there. But there's been such little innovation in providing a tool for
Mm.
patients and clinicians that really is a breakthrough. So I really
Mm.
would say number one, it's the I've been with the company for under 2 years.
Mm.
We were able to wrap up our regulatory filing for an
Yeah.
LDT test. We're able
Mm.
to develop the test, build the team, raise capital, and
Yeah.
launch the MindLight assay. I think number one. Number two is in our Alzheimer's program. We have been able to ensure we obtain further IP, intellectual property,
Mm,
number one. And secondly, um, that we've developed this absolutely best-in-class data set related to Alzheimer's.
yeah.
And that all gives support and foundation to circular RNA as a biomarker in general.
Yes, amazing. That's really wonderful, especially given the current winter funding climate. But the company is still able to raise, I guess, 8.5 million, right? From a VC firm. That's really a great achievement.
Yeah, so
So yeah. Mm,
8.3 million Series
eight-
A January of this year. Yeah.
yes, congratulations on the wins. Yeah. So talking about the future of the technology, what developments that you think will be most transformative for the industry? Speaking from your own experience, yeah.
Yeah, so um again, we as a company are focused in the mental health and neurology
Mm,
space.
right.
The major depressive disorder is the world's most debilitating disorder.
Mm,
It hasn't received the attention that cancer and heart disease obtain, but it's the most debilitating disease there is in the world today,
yeah.
with elevating growth rates. So for us as a company, our first strategic priority is we want to provide tools not just for SSRIs, but across the entire continuum of care
Mm,
in major depressive disorder. So all the way from predicting SSRI response,
mm,
SNRI response, atypical antidepressant response, all the way through to TMS, ketamine, and psychedelics. So we will have a test that is able to direct therapy wherever you are at in the treatment workflow.
mm,
That's one. Number two, I think I would say for us is bringing RNA technology to the masses.
mm,
So it's easy as a recovering scientist myself to say that this is really interesting technology. It's sophisticated. We have the best scientists. But
mm,
what is a driver and a passion for me is that technology becomes impactful for patients and clinicians and the world. So we have the option in the future for consumer oriented tests. So that is blood collection in a consumer test in perhaps depression or even Alzheimer's in the future.
yeah.
And circular RNA is very widely involved in all of neurology. So there are other clinical verticals that I would like us as a company to drive into. For
Mm,
example, Parkinson's,
yeah.
bipolar disorder, etc. So there's a lot of areas of neurology that I think we can bring this technology to.
Yes, amazing. So, I guess many aspiring biotech founders out there also look to companies like Circular Genomics for inspiration. So, are there any lessons or strategies that you'd like to share for those looking to break into this field and make a lasting impact?
That's an excellent question. I think that there's a number of things there. Um, I would say strategic focus and clarity. You really have to pick off a problem which is very specific and focused to begin and
Yeah.
prove out what you can do there. Um, if you then think about how you devise a company, so you can break the company apart fundamentally into team, technology, and the market.
Mm,
You need to understand the market in excruciating detail. You really do need to understand the clinical workflow, the patient symptomology, reimbursement. You need to map that
yeah.
environment very, very precisely Many companies do not do that sufficiently.
Mm,
You need to understand both the possibilities and the limitations of your technology really precisely.
yeah.
Because we tend to get, I like technology too. We all do,
Mm,
right? SpaceX is fantastic,
yes.
but we need to understand the limitations and the practicalities and the cost
Mm,
profile. And perhaps the most important thing is you have to build an agile, competent, execution focused team. So team,
mm.
technology, and market, but the team is really the most important one of those.
Yes. Definitely. When I speak to a lot of investors out there, they always say that invest in the founding team, invest in the
Yeah.
teams, right? Invest in the people, etc. So yeah, really about building a strong team that's be there, capable of delivering your vision is also very important. Yeah, so reflecting on your career, what has been the most pivotal moment for you as a leader in the biotech sector? Because I understand that every leader has moments that define their journey and influence their approach. So I'm very curious to learn about yours, that you feel most especially transformative.
Oh, so there would be several. It's, with a long career, it's hard to pinpoint just maybe one.
Yes.
I think when I've seen a team um really come together and
Mm,
overcome a fundamental technical limitation.
yeah.
We because we've been through that scoping exercise, we understood where our limitation was. And the team, in this case, was a team of engineers and scientists and biologists, had to really overcome some fundamental technology constraints that didn't exist.
Mm,
No technology in the world existed to do what we had to do. And that team working highly cross-functionally, internationally,
mm,
long hours, very creatively,
mm,
brainstorming, um, came up with very novel solutions on the technology front. And I think
right.
on the other side would be on the commercial side. I came into a company where the sales team had not been quite sufficiently directed,
Mm,
and they had a fantastic product, but they'd
yeah.
been going to the wrong constituency in the wrong way with the wrong tools and wrong argument.
Mm,
And it's very gratifying to come into that situation and work. I worked in the field with all of our sales team. We were working with pharma companies, tier one, tier two pharma companies, and you go to the customer and you understand the challenge they have, and you spend a good amount of time understanding their world. And then instead of just saying, well, we have this, uh, getting into a discussion about, well, we have a solution, and the solution has these elements, and I really think it can help you. And that was a situation where we really, as a company, went from, we tripled our revenues in about 12 months. So that was
mm.
yeah, it's a fantastic example.
Yeah, that's really amazing. So I like to end with a forward-looking question. So for circular genomics, what are the goals or ambitions that excite you the most for the next 3 to 5 years?
Oh, fantastic question. So I think one, making the MindLight antidepressant response test a big piece of changing the standard of care. So you can launch a product sometimes, but you don't always change the standard of care. I think this test will change the standard of care. And I'd like to see us in the next 3 years begin to really disrupt the standard of care. I would like to see in our Alzheimer's program that we
Mm,
are partnering with a major strategic company,
yeah.
and that in so doing, we are really taking a novel approach in the Alzheimer's world.
Mm,
Most studies, most trials in Alzheimer's have failed because you couldn't stratify patients correctly. You couldn't identify who is going to get Alzheimer's, which patient you put into which arm of the trial. And I like to see that strategic piece. And I would like, in doing all of that, for circular RNA to become as well known for a good reason as mRNA has become known because of, for example, COVID. I think circular RNA, I want it to become well known broadly in the marketplace because of the great things that it's doing in mental health and neurology.
Amazing, wonderful. Thank you so much, Paul, for the insightful perspectives on circular genomics and the fascinating work that you've been doing in the field of biotech, mental health, and neurology. So it's very inspiring to hear about your commitment to advancing the field and your vision, driving the efforts. Again, thank you so much for your time today. I think I learned a lot from hearing your story and your passion as well. So yeah, we'll definitely take a steps back and rethink about your storyline so that we can draft a compelling story for you in our upcoming edition. Yeah. So, but for
Wonderful.
now, I think we all have everything at hands. Yeah.
Thank you, Todd. It's very, very nice to speak to you, and I guess we look forward to seeing the first draft and the
Right.
next steps there.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend ahead. Yeah. Bye
Okay,
bye.
bye bye.